Okay, so here we are on Astro.com, and we're looking at Zendaya. Looking at her, this is her natal chart. We can see born September 1st, 1996, 6:01 p.m. in Walnut Creek, California. She has a sun in the 7th in Virgo, moon in Taurus in the 3rd, and a Aquarius rising with Uranus, Neptune right there on the rising. So I'm just going to kind of take you through here some of the charts that I look at, and let's see what's going on with her right now in 2024. So first thing I'm going to do is look at the natal chart. We can see here as well. Start with Pluto. Pluto's in the 10th. So this is going to be a person who has, more likely than not, without looking at anything else, this is going to be a person who has an emphasis on the career. Pluto in the 10th, on the MC. And then let's go to the nodes. We see the North Node is in the 8th in Libra, and the South Node is in the 2nd, conjunct Saturn in Aries. So already we can start to see the emphasis on the career with Pluto, and then we move to the South Node. It's in the 2nd house, the house of money, values, and it's conjunct Saturn. So as I said, Pluto in the 10th, and here we have a Saturn conjunct the South Node. So now we're getting more confirmation that this is going to be a life with the career emphasized, with this theme of responsibility, fatherhood / motherhood, parenting. And the South Node is ruled by Mars. And where's Mars? It's in the house of work, in Cancer, conjunct Venus. So without looking at anything else, we have our third indication that this is going to be a life about work. And we can see that Mars is making a trine back to that Pluto. It's also making a trine to the midheaven there in Scorpio. And if we want to include this North Node in the nodes of the moon are in this axis of money, Scorpio, Taurus. The ruler of that North Node is Venus, and that is going to be in the 6th house, also trining the midheaven. And as I said, Sun is in Virgo. Virgo, again, being a sign associated with work and employment. It's going to make a trine back to the moon in the 3rd in Taurus. We're talking about money. That South Node. With this 2nd and 8th house emphasis. And that moon is making a trine, as I said, to the sun. It's also making a trine to Jupiter in the 11th, the house of gains. So she has a grand trine in Earth with the sun, Jupiter, and moon. So as I'm going along here, you can see how easy this is with her chart to see what's really going on in the life. Everything that I've mentioned so far, just kind of moving along step by step, has a emphasis on earthly things like the career, the status, material things, money, etc. Now, before I go any further, I don't mean to make her look like a bad person. That's not what I'm trying to do. I'm just looking at the chart as it is, describing her life. And as we know, she is a celebrity. She does everything that I've mentioned so far has come true in her life, has been the emphasis that, as far as we know, from someone observing her in the public, from the public's view. Without knowing her, I can't really get into her personal life and how everything I described relates to her personal life, because that would be another way to look at the chart as well. But moving along here, we can see the ruler of the rising here. The rising's in Aquarius, and the ruler is Uranus, and it's conjunct Neptune in the 12th. So we're seeing the ruler being the 12th. You think of like a dream life. We think of performing, acting, being someone who's a public figure. We see that there in the 12th, and Uranus is there at 1 degree, Neptune is at 25 degrees, and Neptune is in Capricorn and the Virgo decan. It's also making a sextile aspect to the midheaven as well. It's also making an aspect in opposition to that Mars and Venus that we talked about. And we could add Uranus into that as well, all in the 12th house. And without getting any more into anything else, I'm going to move on to another chart. I think that's enough. We could throw in Mercury there. The ruler of that Virgo is conjunct the North Node as well. So really giving some indication that a lot of things we talked about with Earth, with Mercury being a ruler of the Earth sign Virgo, it's being conjunct the North Node, that this is a life of fruition, that things are happening for this person. Again, without getting into anything else, I want to move on to a different chart. So we're going to go back here to chart selection, and we're going to move to chart type. Let's see if I got that right. Chart type. And let's look at her progress chart for November 18th, 2024. So this is her progress chart where we progress the planets from birth. And we can see that she was an Aquarius rising. Now she is a Pisces rising. So interesting there that she is an actress, and everything that I said about the 12th house there. And early on in life, about 17 years ago, her rising progressed into Pisces. And then now we see it's at 17 degrees in the Cancer decan. And I'm sure early in life, as I don't really know that much about her, but she was probably pretty sure she was a childhood star of some sort. And then we can see as the rising there progresses into the Cancer decan, the emphasis is not only going to be on Pisces, but it's going to be on Cancer. So she's going to be, she would have already progressed into a time where family is becoming more important, could be moving into a time where she has children, new relationships. I think she's in a pretty long-term relationship, pretty steady relationship that could lead to family, or that could be described as being part of a family. And then the other important piece to this progress chart we're going to look at first is the moon. That's going to be the one that changes the most, and we can see she's been in a second house period. And this is the period where the Challengers movie came out. I'm not that familiar with her, but I'd guess that she's made a lot of money in the last few years. This is going to be a very important time for her. We see with the moon in Taurus as well in the second house at 17 degrees currently. Isn't that interesting that the day that I'm coming out with this, the moon is making a sextile to that rising sign there in Pisces. We can also look at some of the aspects that the moon is making. The moon is going to be making a trine to that Neptune there at 24 degrees. The Neptune in the progress chart doesn't really move that much. So we can see it's pretty much still making a trine to that Neptune in the natal chart as well. We can go back here and I can progress to 2025 and look at February 18th, 2025, and we can see that the rising changes a little bit, and the moon has moved to 21 degrees. So sometime next year, that moon will make a trine to Neptune, and we can look at that and get some indication that something is going to happen there during that time. We can even see here that the Venus has progressed to 25 degrees Leo, and we can even go back to the natal chart and say the moon in Taurus there when it's at 25 degrees is going to hit that Neptune. It's also going to hit the planets that she has in Cancer, Mars and Venus. It's going to make a conjunction with her IC. So we're kind of comparing this chart to her natal chart. So let's do that. Let's go back here and we can see natal and progressed, and let's fast forward to April. Here's your natal chart. Here's the moon approaching that 25 degree mark. You can see it making the sextile. So this is kind of how this works. This is how people have, how you can correlate how people have a period of good fortune, things happening, etc. This is how you can find that out. We can see that the sun has progressed here to Libra. And that would be, it's at 7 degrees, 8 degrees here now. So the past 7 or 8 years, as I was saying, if we go back, I'm just going to go back to the progress chart about this idea of family and relationships. And you can see as well that sun has come into a period in the last 7 years as well, where relationships will become more important for this person. And it's also, as I said, if we go back to the natal chart, that's starting to come into contact with that Libra node and her 8th house. So the sun, we combine that area of fruition. It came over, hit this 3 degree Mercury, then it's going to hit the node, the Chiron, and this area of fruition in the life, the sun is lighting that up in the progress chart. So more emphasis on that, more indication that this is going to continue for her. Her time in the limelight is going to continue. And you could say that that's par for the course for her being a celebrity, but not all celebrities have that where they go through, some celebrities go through a period of rising a little bit and then falling for good. And we don't really remember who they are. So, and then as I said, this Mars, and we can look at this Mars and Venus, and it was in Cancer, but now it's progressed to that sign of creativity and performing and being center stage of Leo. The Jupiter's not going to move that much. Of course, the Pluto's not going to move that much. And the Mercury looks like it was possibly went retrograde and now has progressed back, has been going backwards into Virgo. And it's at 20 degrees Virgo. We can see it just hit the descendant there recently. So let's take a look at another chart. Well, before I say anything else, you can see the moon has progressed into the 3rd, and it will go around. And this is the main thing you want to look at here is this rising sign. Where is the rising at specifically within a sign, and where's the sun at? And where's the moon? So here we have her solar return, and we can see that Scorpio is rising, the sign of the eighth house. We're talking about other people's money. We're talking about power. We're talking about sex, things of that nature, everything that goes along with Scorpio. And she has the sun in the 10th house. So let's start with the sun. The sun in the 10th, we can see that career issues will come to light this year. She will have, more likely than not, a good year emphasizing her career. And she did have that movie, I believe Challengers came out this year, and I don't really know that much about her life. So I'll use that as an example. Uh, we see that Venus is here in the 11th in Libra, and Uranus is prominent here in the 7th. And that movie did show that movie was a little bit, we could say, odd, eccentric, different. We're talking about tennis, it's a little bit niche. There were some sexual themes uh, in that movie, and here we see this Venus and Libra in the 11th, kind of showing that as well. We have the South Node there in the 11th, the North Node in Aries with Neptune in the 5th, Moon near the midheaven in Leo with Mercury. Leo at 29 degrees in the MC, so a lot of emphasis on Leo, the 5th house, uh, this idea of being a performer, being center stage, of course. And oftentimes, what's interesting when you see with these themes, your themes in your natal birth chart, they'll show more. They'll show up more in your solar returns than than if they weren't in your natal chart. So we see, going back to her being a performer, we're seeing a lot of this come up. I haven't checked the other solar returns, but I'm sure if I did, they would come up a lot. We can see Neptune is there at 29 degrees. So with the North Node, this is a big year for her when it comes to success and in her career, and it certainly was. We can see Jupiter and Mars as well near the 8th house here, showing more success when it comes to business and um, more of the sexual things coming up as well. And with this, a lot coming, a lot getting more famous with her and Tom Holland, which is kind of a relationship that's different that people wouldn't expect. I think I saw a couple clips of about her being taller than him. You know, things like that would be Uranus being prominent. Saturn in the 4th, more uh, le- less emphasis on the 4th house as far as her being a family person. More about the career. Although with Saturn in the 4th, just having something there in the 4th could show some issues with the family this year. But certainly not going to be a year where uh, you see a person staying at home. That's for sure. So that's a solar return. And as I said, the Scorpio rising is going to really set the tone for the year. A lot of the things that I mentioned are showing up here in the chart. We're talking about money, a year of big money. We see Sagittarius on the second house cusp, ruled by Jupiter there with Mars near the 8th. Money through other people, and certainly being a movie star, she's making a lot of money through relationships with the public. Libra on the 12th, relationships with the public. With the Venus in the 11th, making movies like that are different, like Challengers. So I want to look at one more chart, the solar arc, and this is more, you can see big things happening. So let's move to right now, November 18th. Planets are being progressed by per year. We can see there the sun was in Virgo when she was born. and now it's in Libra, 7 degrees. So many different things you can do with this, but what we're going to try to do is we're going to go back. Actually, I'm going to put solar arc, natal and solar arc direction, and we're going to look for, here's your natal chart. There you can see the 9-degree Virgo, and now it's progressed to 7 degrees Libra. And I'm going to look and see if there's any conjunctions. You can do other aspects as well, but I'm just gonna, for the purpose of this video, I'm just gonna look for conjunctions. They're gonna be probably the most powerful. We can see she has, for this year, the sun approaching, is just about, we can go down here at 8 degrees, 7 degrees, 21 minutes of Libra. So it's coming up on this north node. So we can expect in the 8th house that this, you could just say that more likely than not, with the sun being involved in north node, that this person is going to continue to rise to fame in the next, or continue being super famous in the next year or two. Now we could also say that she's going to make a boatload of money in the next couple of years, which is probably true. Let's go down here, and we can also see Jupiter. Jupiter is 2 degrees off the rising of the solar arc. So that's going to, they think of Jupiter as being good fortune. She might even start to put on some weight in the next couple years. But definitely going along with that sun north node, a lot of continued good finances. You can see Jupiter about 5 years ago went over the Uranus, and then 6 years before that went over the Neptune. And that could be back when she got started, Jupiter, Neptune, and then Jupiter, Uranus, everything taking off. And now we have Jupiter going over the rising. So look how perfect that is. See if there's anything else. Saturn is going to go over the moon in 4 years. Maybe an indication of trouble with the mother. I don't know much about her family situation, or if her mother's alive, or who she is. Could be maybe some children coming in to the life. And that's interesting because I think that might be right around when, oh no, she's 28. So I don't really see anything else here coming up, but definitely that's something that's going on right now. We could look at some of the aspects, like Saturn here was making a square to Uranus 3 years ago. So I don't want to get too deep into that. Just want to show you how the solar arc works from a basic level. So I hope you enjoy this. And if you made it this far, I do have classes coming up in the new year. Check out my website. And as always, I'm available for readings. We can do these. We can look at these charts and look at kind of talk about what's going on in your life, and hopefully make some sense out of it in this crazy world. So have a great day.